Welcome back to the Holmes on Holmes podcast. I'm Mike Holmes. I started this podcast to keep educating people on how to make it right, just like I've been doing for over 20 years on television. Here, you'll find raw, unscripted conversations with experts on building healthy homes, choosing quality products, safety at home, and more. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Holmes on Holmes podcast. Today, I want to talk about your health, including my health. I just turned 62, and there's things that I'm looking at, and what am I doing right, and what am I doing wrong? I have brought in Dr. Mike and Dr. Vic. And Dr. Mike, you're a natural ND.
Yes, sir.
And Vic, you are an MD.
Yes, sir.
What does that make me? General contractor? GC.
There you go.
So Dr. GC, which I like that. I do have two honorary doctorates, but they're honorary. One for engineering because I've done this all my life, and the other one for pedagogy, trying to help teach people what I believe and what I do. So it's really not regular for me, because I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story in a second, that I see an ND and an MD team up. Why? Because this is irregular, right? An MD writes prescriptions, an ND works on all kinds of things, but you're still the equivalent of the same knowledge, correct?
Yes, Mike, it's a very good question. Dr. Mike will confer that in my years of family practice, that's what I did. I'm doing consulting now with Dr. Mike and his group. But it was frustrating because a lot of my patients, I checked them out, did the testing, did the prescribing, did the treatment protocols according to the protocols. And a lot of times, more often than not, they didn't feel good. It wasn't quite enough. Yes, we can diagnose things and treat them, but they weren't feeling good. They had symptoms that weren't able to correct. So invariably, they would ask me, or they go off their own and seek out the help of a naturopathic doctor. I encouraged it. I never got in their way, because a lot of times they come back with feedback and they felt better. So I thought there's something there. There's something there to give.
Is it often you would see an MD recommend an ND?
As a matter of fact, good question. A lot of my colleagues where I worked in a medical center, more than half of them would say no, where they wouldn't encourage it. It's almost like patients have to ask for permission, although a person should be able to ensue any help they think they need. But I know some of my colleagues would not encourage it, would almost like threaten the patients not to go in certain ways. And I find that a little debilitating when a patient's looking for more answers. And so there'll be practitioners out there that'll encourage it and some that won't. But I think you got to look at all the options. A person, at the end of the day, the patient is the center of the spoke of the wheel of health. We have to help the patient.
I agree. I totally agree. Now, Dr. Mike, a good friend of mine, Yvonne, I swear now, it's got to be at least a year that he said to me, Mike, you got to meet Dr. Mike. You got to go see Dr. Mike, because I'm going to move backwards for a second. I started to hear about the bag, okay? An IV bag that can give you the nutrients you need, that can clean out all the crap in your body, give you all of the vitamins that you need. Some people don't absorb vitamins, and I'm learning. This is a journey I've been on. I was in Mexico with Anna, and I met this husband and wife, and she's a nurse. So this has been a conversation with everyone I know for the last year. So I meet this nurse, and I said, my buddy keeps telling me about this Dr. Mike guy, and that he is doing this treatment, and it's making him feel amazing. He feels better. So she tells me, because we were hungover that morning, honestly. And all of us were, wow, this is just the way it was. And she says, you should go on the bag. And I'm like, click. Again, she says it. I said, wait a minute. I started telling her the story about my friend Yvonne. I said, do you recommend this? And she goes, absolutely yes. She does it once a month. So my curious mind as to who I am and what I need to do is ask questions. So I kind of want to ask you questions. If somebody wanted to get better, and I don't want to say get better, it's not that, I'm getting older, so I'm going to be lacking things in my body, just like anyone else. So as we get older, is this something that is advisable? This is what I'm going to ask.
Well, first of all, I think the most important thing is to find out what's going on with the patient and where our patient's health is currently. So number one, I think when you mentioned about the ND-MD approach, the most important thing is that we have to deal with the patient. So patient-centered care is the number one thing that we're after. So at the end of the day, how many superheroes would you rather have on your team?
All
One?
of them.
Exactly, right? And every superhero, just like any Marvel comic, different superheroes have different powers, okay? Medical doctors have amazing abilities. Naturopaths have amazing abilities, each in their own space. Naturopathic doctors use natural medicine, get to the root cause of illness, use herbal medicine, amino acids, functional medicine, nutritional science, based, evidence-based medicine.
You have a master's in nutritional science.
Absolutely. So you want to look at evidence-based natural medicine to see, hey, what's going to get this patient well? And then from the MD approach, look, I'm not trained, like I'm trained in emergency medicine, but we need medicines today, and there are medicines that people need. And then there are natural medicines that people need. But as Dr. Frillo just mentioned, they can't get them so far. So a patient would come in and Dr. Vic would see a patient and he can't get them to the final stage of getting them to 100%. And so that's when he would pass them on to me and we would work together. And that's how this whole thing came about. So we were, if you will, communicating with patients, albeit he was treating the patient, I was treating the same patient. The patient would come back to him and say, hey, by the way, I'm seeing this guy, his name is Dr. Mike. He's a naturopath and he's great. And I saw these results and then he heard about it and then we met and he's like, listen, you've helped so many of my patients. I said, wait a second, you've helped so many of my patients. And so that's how it worked. And so we just came in, we had a cup of coffee or it was more of a lunch. It was a beautiful lunch. It was a healthy lunch.
Yes.
At a nice Italian restaurant. So we had a nice sit down and we talked about patients. We talked about that for a couple of hours and we said, hey, this is something that could be bigger than we think. Like you just mentioned, like you just mentioned, saying, hey, it's unheard of, an MD and an ND coming together.
To my knowledge, it's absolutely unheard of. But when I heard this, the first thing I thought was, this is brilliant. Because why should the doctor do absolutely everything, MD, when the ND can work with the MD, you can work
100%.
together and actually solve a lot of problems. So let me just go into, let's say I come to your place. What's the first thing you're going to do?
And that's the thing. So first off, so the majority, so right now, well visits are, hi, let's do a physical, let's see how you're doing, check your blood work, and then I'll see you back next year. What we want to do is we want to take it to a different level, right? Because people, it's unfortunate, but in today's society, there's a lot of people that fly into that gray area. What I'm talking about is that black and white. Dr. Frillo's here to assess his patients if they are unfortunately very ill, they need hospital care, they may have some bad disease that they need further treatment with medicine and Medicare and diagnostics. But for the majority of individuals who are in their 50s or 60s, as we get a little older, because of our constant exposure to toxicities, environmental toxins, we become ill. But it's not like we're ill on purpose. And it's not like we're sick that we need hospital stays. We are just not 100%. For example, you can wake up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. every single morning, do your workout, feel good, and then all of a sudden, your brain fog. You're not waking up with the stamina that you once had. You're wondering why you're so tired. So you would go see your family physician and say, hey doc, I'm not feeling like I used to feel. What's going on? And what is normally being said is that it's okay, you're getting old, this is normal. Unfortunately, that is not the answer. We need to get people back to their 100%. Does that mean when you turn 60, you can no longer golf every day? You can't exercise every day? You can't feel good? You can't have sexual activity every day? Right? We want to make, just because we get old, this is what aging gracefully is all about. Just because we get older, we actually want to feel more vitality. And what is the definition of vitality?
Feeling good.
It's vita. Vita is life in Latin. And we want to live longevity, biohacking. These are where functional medicine, nutritional science, advanced cases, this is where we can get patients to the next level. So it's like, hey doc, I don't feel 100%. What can we do? So when a patient comes in, we do a full comprehensive diagnostic testing in terms of blood, stool, urine, and sometimes even DNA testing as well. Yes.
Well, but that way you can really check. So, look, lately I've been falling down the rabbit hole on YouTube hugely because I shut down my cable and now I'm just, I watch news on YouTube. I watch everything on YouTube. But I've been starting to look at health. And I'm looking at diets. I'm looking at what works, what doesn't work, recommendations. And I'm really not confused.
No, you're lost.
But I'm lost. And I am lost. Now, I've seen it. I can clean all of the COVID vaccines vaccinations out of your body. You can? How bad is the vaccinations I took? I can, and like, these are the things that I'm watching. So is this true that over my life, and I guess because I'm smart enough to look at this, years ago, everyone ate healthy. Today, everything is processed foods. We eat fast food. We live a different life. And this is now affecting individuals, is what I see. Is the COVID vaccination not so good for me?
So, that's a loaded question.
It's a loaded question.
That's a loaded question. I think toxicities, let me just answer this. I think it's important. Toxicities in today's society, from our world around us, from the glyphosates that are sprayed on the foods, to the toxins that are being embedded into the soil, to the foods that we eat, to the sprays and the aerosols that are now being sprayed in the air, to simple fragrances, from the processed foods, from all the toxins in our environment, we are causing a pandemic just alone in mitochondrial dysfunction. And mitochondrial health is what the problem is. So should we blame it on a COVID vaccine? Look, we've had patients in our office. We've had patients that came in who've had the vaccine or who had COVID. And guess what? They're broken the same way. So could we just say, hey, it's COVID vaccine or it's not? Look, at the end of the day, we were introduced to a virus. Whether the virus was introduced to you by a needle or the virus was introduced to you
naturally,
innately, this is what happens. Your body ended up having to fight this. There's long COVID, there's problems, there's toxins, there's detoxification pathways that are broken in individuals. This is why we look at DNA testing. We want to find out what your detoxification capabilities are, because if you're not able to detoxify properly, then yes, certain vaccines, certain toxins, certain chemicals and biochemical warfare, whatever you call it, is going to reap havoc on your health. And so this is where we put together intravenous vitamin therapy protocols after doing blood work, after doing DNA testing, after finding out that your methylation, for example, process is actually broken, then you cannot detoxify. Well, we want to enhance that detoxification process so we can get you better and get you to the mitochondrial state that you were in maybe in your 20s. And when you clog the system, because the body is on a cellular level, this is all cellular. So on a microscopic cell level, if the cells are broken and they're not working, and these are powerhouse mitochondrial building cells that perform and release energy, if they do not work properly, then you will feel broken, cloudy, foggy, sluggish, tired, unwell.
Liver, kidneys, etc.
And it's everything.
So here's what I do know, because I'm the guy that tells the world: clean air inside your home. We're in our home probably 80%, 75% minimum our time sleeping in bed, breathing the air. And I can tell you right now that more than 50% of the homes out there have contaminated air.
Sure.
Don't burn candles. You talked about it. Household spray contains all kinds of bad stuff.
They're hormone disruptors. There are hormone disruptors. Look, there are stats right now that are talking about, in today's society, men recorded have the lowest testosterone readings in the last 100 years. Like, it's nuts. We're talking about 18 to 50-year-olds having lower testosterone than in history.
So lower sperm counts.
And lower sperm. Which low entail.
It's funny, my son went through these problems too.
Low fertility. So.
Low fertility. And we're seeing a lot more fertility clinics being up and run, and the government's doing fertility. And where is this coming from? And you just sort of put it right on. fragrances.
I'm talking a ton of stuff.
And just fragrance is one. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
one. When we
That's one
add it all
hormone.
together, because I know this. I know that when I was a kid, nobody was allergic to peanuts and peanut butter. No one. Okay, all of a sudden,
Everybody
my
had
kids go to
P&J.
school. You're not allowed to bring in peanut butter sandwiches. I was born on peanut butter and jam sandwiches, and everyone in my school ate them. We
PB&J.
shared them. Right.
Come on.
Right.
I used to switch my sandwiches. I was the guy that came in with the Italian paninos. Because I used to have the Italian panino. I had them every single day. And I went to my buddies who were in the same school and we used to swap sandwiches. And they used to, oh, please, can I have your
Prosciutto and
because my mother never made
capital prosciutto, all those nice things.
Yeah, we
But
had.
from that time to this time, I've seen an absolute rise in bronchitis, in asthma, in allergies. I've seen a massive increase. And talk about, men and testosterone, that would explain why the happy pill has gone through the roof and they're making crap loads of money
Right.
and we're relying on a pill to get happy. You know what I'm talking about. Right?
Right. Dr. Mike mentioned something and you took off on it. We're aging. That's a number. Our biological age is what we do to the body at a cellular level. So we can make the cells younger even though time goes on. So chronological age is a number. We're aging. The numbers get bigger. But biological age, we can turn it back. We can turn it
We
back.
can turn it back. We can, and that's the key. Because through this, the movement of biohacking, functional medicine, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's biohacking movement, it's functional medicine movement, it's diet, lifestyle movement, whatever you want to call it. We're getting to a point where we want to reverse your biological age. And we can do it.
So I met this doctor and I asked a ton of questions, and it was an ND, and he said to me, I can clean all the shit out of your body. Anything I can clean you. I will get rid of it all, but you're going to have to listen to me. You're going to have to go on a diet. You're going to have to do this, which, I'm like on a diet. I mean, it was 221 pounds. It was time to lose a bit of weight. So I paid attention. Is it possible that you can clean me and make me healthier just by intravenous of things that I need, things that I'm missing?
That's a good concept because we spend a lot of time and money on cleaning our barbecues at the end of a season, on cleaning the engines of mechanical things.
Changing the oil in the car.
And yet our bodies there's mechanics. The mechanics are in the cells, in the DNA, the mitochondria, the power units. So why can't we clean this machine, this biological machine? If we do it, when you clean a machine, it's like a younger machine. The car, I clean the engine is new again. So we have ways to make the engine clean.
Everyone says, well, you got to take vitamins. You're lacking vitamin D. You're lacking vitamin C. And does that work? Going to the store or the drugstore and buying vitamins and taking vitamins, does that work?
Why not measure it? Why guess? We take the guesswork out. I was on the golf course yesterday and I had one of my members that I was playing with. He said to me, hey, don't let Dr. Mike see you smoke that cigar. He's going to get very upset with you. And I looked at the guy and I said to him, Paul, hey, you're wrong about that. He goes, what do you mean? Aren't you going to, give him a slap on the wrist? I said, hey, listen, I'm in the disposal business. I said, at the end of the day, society, people are going to do what they do. They're going to get toxic, right? And my job is to get rid of those toxins. Now, am I going to tell people, hey, good job, keep smoking? No. There's toxins that you're putting into your body, and at the end of the day, people are going to do it. And it's my job when they come to see me to say, hey, how do I get rid of this? But again, we take the guesswork out, right? We're not going to guess if you're low in vitamin C. We're not going to guess if you're low in vitamin D or B12. We are going to assess. We're going to be very educated on exactly what your numbers, first of all, are, and then what they should be. And I think, most people get their, when people come to see us, they say, hey, doc, how come you continually do blood work? I'm not used to this. Well, we actually have to see it before,
During.
a mid or during, a little bit later, and then a little bit later. And so every 3 to 4 months, we actually are looking at what is happening to our patients and how their cells, their body, their blood, and how things are transforming. Because the more data we gather on our patients, the better we can assess to see what treatments and what is going on with our patients.
You have a destination. You have to check the direction ever so often to know if you're going to that destination.
That's logical to me. The nurse that I met in Mexico, she said, it's consider it maintenance. She does it once a month, and she said it really clear to me. By adding it directly to your blood, you're getting right what your body needs at the time.
Yeah.
And she says you can talk to the doctor and get your own mix. She goes, she does water, she does vitamin D, I think is a needle, vitamin C in the bag. What other vitamins would be in the bag?
B12, the B vitamins.
All the B vitamins.
You know, sorry, there's a little takeoff. So you mentioned good questions, good thoughts. You said we go to the store. It's also about quality. So we measure what you need, but where's the source, the quality of the vitamins? You go to a health store, any store, you don't know what you're buying. Sometimes the ingredients, what's in there, are they active? So we talk about active vitamins, purified vitamins, a better source of vitamins and minerals. So yes, along with what you were saying, we have to look at quality as well. Because anybody go buy a vitamin B12 off the shelf, but is it the right kind? Is it the active form? Is it going to
There's many Bs.
There's many, yes.
So you want the, agreed, so you want the active forms, first off. So, right, there's
Don't
active
know what that
Bs.
is.
So if you're missing, hence why we do a lot of genetic information, because a lot of people take multivitamins, for example. I'm not a big fan of multivitamins. Multivitamins are just, hey, let's take a slew of this and hopefully we'll, say a prayer and hopefully we'll get the deficiency that comes along. It's literally playing Russian roulette with vitamins.
Well, with vitamins, if I was told that if whatever your body doesn't need, you pee it.
For sure.
Except for ADEK. Remember that?
What's that?
ADEK. Those are fat soluble vitamins. If you take too much, it'll store in your body and your organs and cause damage. So there's 4 vitamins. You got to be careful how much you take in.
So you can overtake vitamins.
On ADENK.
ADENK.
ADEK.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to take vitamin A in high doses if you're a smoker. It's definitely linked to certain cancers, so you got to be careful with
Holy crap.
Yeah, that's why we do not want to be in the dark with any vitamins that we're giving or injecting our patients. But just to go on the notion that you mentioned on putting it into the bloodstream and bypassing the gut. So let's put this full circle. You take a vitamin and say, hey, I heard I got to take vitamin C, and you go take a vitamin C, you're not feeling better. You go take a multivitamin, you're not feeling better. That vitamin, and let's say you get the top vitamins. Let's say, like Dr. F said, let's say you get the active forms, because there's inactive forms and then there's almost like readily available digestible forms, meaning that if your genetics, let's just say, you're not able to metabolize and break down the vitamins to its active form, let's give you the one that's ready, so that if you take it, it activates. That's what active forms mean, okay? That's why we look at our genetics. We know who can take the active forms, we know who can't, but we do it directly in the vein, in the venous system, and we give the active forms in the venous system. But the most important question is, what is the state of the gut of the individual taking the vitamin? See, because gut health is where the absorption of these minerals, so like you mentioned, well, you take a multivitamin and then you just pee the rest out. Actually, you're going to pee it all out if your gut is not healthy, and especially if leaky gut is there. Now, leaky gut intestinal malabsorption is real. This is from chronic toxicities, usually mast cell activation syndrome, which is MCAS. This is usually exposure to toxic mold, chronic Lyme, infection, Bartonella, all this kind of stuff. Or maybe even if you're just continually taking antibiotics because you were unwell for a certain amount of time, your body and your gut sort of starts deteriorating, and the amount of availability that you can bind these vitamins becomes really low. So you don't bind the vitamins very well. So let's just take that out of the question. So first off, we want to know the gut health of our patient.
Sure.
So we find this out. We say, okay, look, gut health is not well in this patient. Looks like we're going to have to take matters into the intravenous. And we do various tests to see if this is safe and if it's good, kidney function.
Yeah, you bypass the gut by using the IV.
We bypass the gut, we go right into the venous system, and we give the vitamins like that nurse mentioned to you, and we tailor an IV concoction that's tailored for you. What is highly, very popular out there is something called a Myers cocktail. Myers cocktail, which was formulated by an MD, Dr. Myers, in 50 plus years ago. He had a chronic slew of patients coming in who were chronically ill. And he couldn't figure them out. He couldn't understand how to get them well. So what he did is he started mixing some IVs, putting B12, magnesium, calcium, potassium, B12, B complex, B6, B5. I think he even put some amino acids in there, some selenium. And then he made this concoction, and vitamin C, and he made this concoction called Myers cocktail. And it's like a formula, and it's like a recipe. We have it at our office, we do it as well. It's very popular, and he would give it to all this fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, just patients like we talked about in that gray area who don't feel well. And he had an office that was like full of patients because all he had was these IVs, and he was just doing all these IVs, and he was getting patients better. And then that's how the birth of IV vitamin therapy came. And then it hit California.
50 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, they were using glass back in the day.
I only heard of it recently.
Back in the day, they were you remember, I don't know if you remember this, but the IV bottles were glass. Do you remember?
To wash out the milk jug. I'm kidding. I don't remember they were glass.
They used to be glass. Yeah. So they used to be glass. Actually, they're bringing the glass back, interestingly enough. That's something that's coming later. But
is that too because of plastic bags?
Yes, sir.
So more environmentally friendly?
Microplastics.
Talking about the gut health and taking things and you end up peeing it out. As being a contractor in what I do in this world, did you know what's the number one thing they find in Lake Ontario? Think about it. We've got the United States on one side, Canada on the other side. Everyone goes pee every single day and other things. Everyone takes all kinds of medication and vitamins. No, government doesn't want to talk about this. What's the number one thing they find in Lake Ontario?
So take Lake Ontario water, examine it. What's the
number one prescription they find? Is that what you're?
Can you guess? No, it's not even prescription.
It's not organic. It's not a live
It's right over the board in the drugstore. You can right over the counter. Tylenol.
Acetaminophen.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number one. They don't want to talk
Besides the birth control.
Because, when they clean the water, and I know these things, right? And I know these things because when they clean the water, they use old technology going through the well system,
That's right.
even on a large scale. And when you do that, what you can't do is clean all of this stuff that's in the water. You can only actually make the water cleaner. So this is why I'm the guy that tells everyone, get a water filter in your house. Even put in water softeners. Like, you can't do enough for your health. You do that for the air you breathe. You do it for the water you drink.
Air filters,
100%. Air filters, purification filters.
But now this has opened up my eyes. So, another friend is Dino. And he tells me that after 1 year of doing this therapy that you're talking about, he said his life changed. He said he could eat, he was drinking wine, he wasn't drinking like crazy. I don't think a lot of us do, and I want to get into alcohol in a minute, I really do. But, from there, this second year, he says, Mike, you can't imagine, everything has come back to normal. I feel 25 again. And this is, again,
biological,
making me go, question mark, should I be doing this? Should I be looking into this? Because now that I hit 62, I was 37 when I first started television. 37!
Wow.
And I blinked, and it was 47, 57, now I'm 62. And I want to know if I can do something that makes me better and possibly live just a little bit longer, because this time is going by way too fast. Doesn't look like I'm going to retire anytime soon, and I'm just going to drop dead unless I do something about it, in my mind.
I know why you're thinking that.
Why?
Because you're in the profession of making things right.
Fixing things.
You go into a home, you see how it could be better, and it could be a 100-year-old home, right? And you don't tear it down because we're still good. Our cores are good, our bodies are good. So it's very similar, and I love that. I love the analogy because it's like, okay, how do we gut it out? How do we fix it? How do we cleanse it? How do we clarify it? But we also want to find out what we're dealing with, right? Just like similar to a home. You want to see what's behind the drywall.
Your home is the same as your body.
Yes.
There's a structure.
I love it.
There is air, right? HVAC. So that is your lungs, your breathing.
Yes.
There's electrical, which I learned when I was full-time AFib, that I had to get two
Ablations.
Yes, 2 ablations. And that was to fix my 100% AFib.
Electrical circuit.
They went inside my heart and burnt 4 circles. The second time they did it, talk about heartburn. It was real burn. It wasn't from anything I ate. They burnt the hell out of me, but they fixed it.
Sure.
And so he relayed to me that the electrical was no different than the electricity that's in your body, which I had no idea.
Currents,
how your heart works.
Yep.
These are
And
things
the
you
cells.
know, right? I'm the contractor.
Yeah, and the
Right,
cells.
Right.
The cells need sodium, potassium, and magnesium, just like regular cells. The electrical cells of your body need those to conduct electricity so that your body can do what it needs to do. It's the same thing.
So, this is now leading me into the direction that I think I need to come see maybe someone like you, that I get these tests done, that I look at this possible. Let me go here. When the nurse said to me that I do it once a month, and I said to her, well, what about once a week? Is that okay? She goes, absolutely yes, which has made my curiosity. Can you do it once a week? Is it good for you?
Again, every patient's different, right?
But what if it was just simple water and a little bit of B vitamins? Nothing.
Electrolytes, vitamins.
Yeah, we want to put the vitamins. Electrolytes are electricity, lytic.
Sodium, potassium, magnesium.
That causes the electricity. So it's important that you just mentioned that. So like dehydration is a big thing, and it's why the electricity doesn't work. And for the most part, a lot of people who have mental fog, not very clear, low energy, just not feeling their stamina, you'd be surprised what an electrolytic solution will do to a person, especially during that time, like we just spoke about, after a hangover or after a night of drinking or after a night of...
Because you're dehydrated.
Exactly.
Well, if I can interject, most of the population walking around right now are underhydrated. Yes, there's the dehydrated people in those countries in the world where water is not clean. Underhydration is ubiquitous, meaning how much water do you drink today? How much do you drink on average on a daily? It should be minimum 1.5 to 2 liters, even if you're just sitting around. Most people drink, those water bottles, Doc, I drink maybe 1 or 2. That's only a liter. That's not enough. Just to make the mechanics.
So in other words, you can't drink enough water.
Well, there's a saturation point. I mean, I wouldn't drink, unless you're working out every day like a fiend, an athlete, you're up to 4 liters maybe.
You can drink too much.
You can.
You can overhydrate. But the general population are underhydrated.
Underhydrated.
I can ask anybody right now, anybody I come across, how much water did you drink yesterday? Not hardly any. Well, that's not good enough. Your electricity won't work.
I drink minimum probably 2 liters a day because,
good.
And I think again, it became in my mind is that I need water. Like, I think it's going to wash me out. That's what I think, right? I'm going to clean the crap out of me,
sure.
And it's going to give me the hydration that I need. So I don't think I overdrink, but I drink at least 2 liters of water every single day.
Good.
And
good.
I may go home. I don't drink during the day, and I'm talking alcohol, which I want to get into right now. Is then I'll go home and, I'll wait a bit and then dinner's coming out and then I'll make, Manhattan. I'm a big Manhattan fan. So I'll make myself a nice drink, sit, sip it, relax from the crazy days that I do. And then maybe 2 more I'll have. So I may do 1 to 3 a day. I may not drink because I try to keep it in my mind that too much alcohol is not good for me. So let's get into alcohol. Out of everything we're doing, never mind the cloud of stuff that we keep breathing in, keep drinking, and creating this combination of chaos inside our bodies, alcohol, is it really that bad?
So I used to drink a lot. So my family's in the wine business. I think I mentioned that.
Yes.
Before our show today. So the thing is about alcohol is, so what I mean a lot is I used to have a glass of wine every night with dinner.
Which I think is fine.
Which, if you look at all the literature of the blue zones, and there's a lot, right now, there's a huge uproar on whether alcohol is good or whether alcohol is bad. Now, with the community, the basic journals, what's happening, what's being published right now is that alcohol is actually, it's linked to cancers, it's linked to, alcohol is actually going to kill you. That's what they're saying. And then you have the longevity experts and the people who, one of the authors of the Blue Zones, he mentions that, hey, alcohol in Sardinia, where they live, the average age is 100
right.
To the males and the females, they're drinking a glass of wine every single day. So what's the deal? And so I think we got to think about what kind of alcohol, how it's made, where's the wine? That wine, they're making their own homemade wine, right? They're not buying any wine
there's no additives to the wine.
So like there's a lot.
So you're telling me different alcohols could be bad for you over
Yes.
something else, which is right now logical to me.
I think so.
It's like picking the vitamins on the shelf, picking that bottle.
I heard clear alcohol,
Yes.
such as tequila. I was told by a heart doctor that tequila, if you're going to drink alcohol, drink clear tequila.
Yes.
That's what a heart doctor told me. Because most
The agave.
alcohol will give you what they call a happy heart. And that happy heart is the overbeat. When you know this, when you drink too much, you wake up at 2, 3 in the morning and you're like, boom, 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 boom. But it's called the happy heart, which is not good for you, especially if you're 100% AFib. But he did tell me if you're going to do it, drink clear tequila, because tequila won't give you the happy heart. Now, this is probably getting into way more of a subject, but I what this does to me is it teaches me there are things you can drink, you can overdrink. You said I used to drink a lot, but then you said I drank 1 glass of wine with dinner every night. Is that drinking a lot?
It's daily drinking versus drinking ever so often.
You'd be surprised.
That's what
You'd
he
be
meant.
surprised how it can get you, especially on the weekends and how you catching up.
Well, on the weekend, you'll end up having 3 or 4. Is that too much?
See, when we look at alcohol as a possible toxin, well, the liver cells have to break it down. Brain cells get affected by alcohol, and the lining of the gut, the heart as well. So there are diseases, chronic conditions that are created by drinking too much over time. Liver failure or cirrhosis, even leaky gut or even gastritis.
I keep hearing leaky gut. What the hell is leaky
Well,
gut?
he mentioned it.
Well, what is leaky gut?
Before I go there, even the brain, people
Foggy.
people develop conditions like I'll name a name, just the name of it. Wernicke's encephalopathy means the brain has so saturated with alcohol over time that there's brain dysfunction, balance issues. Like there's
And that's usually that's a B deficiency. As a result,
as well.
the chronic alcohol could actually lead to use of your detoxification mechanisms, and it could cause a B vitamin deficiency.
There's heart failure from cardiomyopathy from too much alcohol. So there's alcoholic hearts. They get enlarged and they fail. So alcohol can be a toxin if it's not used the proper way. The amount and the selection.
It's just no different than a hangover. Once you're hungover, you're pretty stupid, right? It's like, I can't even think of that word.
That's temporary. That's temporary before it becomes permanent. Yeah.
Oh, it can cause permanent.
Well, I mean,
Logical.
These days, people are educated. They understand that they're not going to get that way, hopefully. But when early in my practice, when I was training at St. Mike's, we saw basically the end stage disease of these chronic use of alcohol, and it was sad to see because people did it to themselves. So. But besides that obvious thing, it's the selection, the purity of the alcohol. The Sardinians make their own; they don't have the preservatives, additives, etc. Those examples are always there.
Yeah, I think you can pick your poison.
Well, again,
Pick your poison as a whole.
And don't make it a poison.
What causes leaky gut? Because I've heard a lot of
It is toxins. It is poison.
It's toxins.
It's toxins, poison. So chronic alcohol consumption can lead to leaky gut
And other things.
And back to this whole and chronic consumption of, let's say, foods that maybe you're intolerant to, but you don't know, and then they continually, degrade the lining of the intestinal bilayer. So our intestines are designed to absorb nutrients. So, for example, B12. B12 is absorbed through our ileum, which is a small intestine. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think, hey, I can just take a B12.
Yeah, it's not direct to your
pill.
blood.
I could just take a B12 pill and it's good. And we've seen it. We've seen hundreds, thousands of patients come in and it's like, wow, why is your B12 so low? What? I take it every day. I'm like, which one do you take? And I look at it. Sometimes it's the inactive form like we spoke about, but most often it's the active form, or let's say the Costco brand, which is the active form, believe it or not. And they'll be taking it, but then their B12 would be so low. And we'd be saying, well, how is your B12 low? Well, if you think about the gut has to absorb. And the gut has sort of chaperones, okay? They bring certain chaperones to pick up the B12. And I'm referring to intrinsic factor.
Yeah.
So we have intrinsic factor from our gut. So how many people have acid reflux, do you think, in society?
I've heard a lot of it lately.
Yeah.
I don't, thank God, but I've heard of it.
So many people.
Oh, yes.
Like, how many people in your practice,
Common.
after 35 years of acid reflux, you're talking like every day, 10
And
times
they're
a day.
popping the antacids, but not fixing the problem. They're just covering, masking it. You know.
So when the body has to release stomach acid, it can't do releasing stomach acid. So the stomach releases intrinsic factor and stomach acid. So if you block it, you say, stop producing the acid, I'm gonna actually stop producing the intrinsic factor. So that's gonna cause me to not absorb my meals. So a lot of people are on these proton pump inhibitors,
Prescription pills. Yeah.
Pepsid, which is a very common one, which is, by the way,
Nexium, Losec,
which is an H2 blocker, which is actually really good for mast cell stabilization.
Okay.
We could talk about that later.
Well, that's a different topic.
That's
Different topic.
That's how we do the MD
I love
approach.
this.
Yeah. So
What I'm hearing is it all starts with poor gut health, then to leaky gut,
Yeah.
which is bad gut health.
Like I told you, Mike.
And I guess it can get worse than that.
Yeah.
Well, hold on a second. Let's just talk about one thing quickly, because you asked about why leaky gut. I want to get into this. I think it's important because if, let's say you were eating something for 20 years, and then your son goes up to you and says, oh, I've been eating those for 20 years. I love having my French fries. I'm not going to say the name. But the French fries from the world famous French fry company, you've been eating it for 20 years and your son's all of a sudden started eating them, I don't know, the last 5 years, every single week or every single day. And it's like, hey man, I've been eating those all the time. It shouldn't hurt my stomach. Oh, but I think now they're hurting my stomach. What is the difference, right? And the difference is the ingredients now in the French fry maker of the world. There is 16, don't quote me on this, but it's 16 to like 20 ingredients.
It's a freaking potato.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you know what the ingredients were 20 to 25 years ago?
A potato.
There were 4 ingredients. Salt, potato, beef tallow. They used to fry it in actually rendered beef fat, which is actually what they're saying now in longevity guys and people coming in and say beef tallow is one of the healthiest things that you can cook in. They're saying actually cook your eggs in beef tallow versus olive oil or any other kind of oil, and especially don't even talk about it. Let's not even have that conversation.
Corn oil. I'm learning.
I love it.
No one should have corn oil. No one.
Or any kind of vegetable oil.
Even vegetable oil?
Because it's canola oil. Yes, it's Canada's oil. Yes, we're so heroic. But the industrial lubricant that actually lubricated all the joints and mechanical industrial things in our industry is not the one suitable for your body. And it will shut down a lot of your organ systems. So, but the point I'm trying to make is why is society today have a lot of gut issues? Why are we seeing a lot of skin issues? Why are we seeing a lot of nutritional deficiencies?
Yes.
It's because first, the gut is the second brain. It's legitimately understood. And when we start thinking about ADHD, how many people are getting diagnosed with ADHD right now?
Way more than I
taking
ever
pres-
How
would
many
have believed.
Taking
colorants-
prescription medications.
And taking prescriptions. How many colorants, toxins, contaminated foods are there in society today? I walked through the aisle of a Costco, and to get to something healthy, it had to take me a while, but we did it. We did it. We got into something healthy, but by the time I picked up these kids' snacks, these flavored drinks, these colored blue dye number 1, 2, 3, 7 that are all linked to cancers, toxins, ADHD, neurological issues, hormone disruptors, gut barrier deterrents, like they really tear down the gut layer. This is what is happening. So our gut, which is supposed to be our number one health point, this is where we're supposed to be the healthiest, in our gut. That is supposed to represent our skin, our brain, our body, our digestibility, our vitamin status, right? And the majority of people have it in complete shambles. So we want to build it up. So to say, hey, should somebody be on an IV for the rest of their life? Well, listen, let's get their gut fixed. Let's put them on some bioavailable vitamins. Let's adjust their biochemistry. Let's maybe do some IV drips so we can get them as healthy as they possibly can. And then once their gut now can tolerate the environment by cleaning out the toxins, then we can go from there. And does that mean that the person can't drink anymore? Does that mean that the person can never have a Mickey D's ever again? Can that mean that the person, that's not what we're saying. We're saying, hey, during this recovery period, because there are recovery periods,
Yeah.
and recovery periods need rehabilitation. And once we rehab, similar to a house, can you walk and live and eat in a house that's getting, an overhaul or renovations? No. You want to move out of the house. Normally,
yes.
You move when you do it, you move the families out.
They're not allowed to stay in the house.
Exactly. When we do it to our patients, we actually move out all the junk food and we keep all the clean food. We get the gut rehabilitated. Once that's rehabilitated, we do some IV therapy. We feel like the patient is good. Then
you teach and train what they should be eating to keep the guts
Exactly.
healthy.
Okay, I got to be honest. Go ahead.
I'll say in general, most of the public is underhydrated. In general, most of the public has bad gut health. In general,
Most.
I'm bloated. I can't.
Well, I've noticed that. I'm bloated. Why am I always bloated?
Yeah.
I try to eat less, and I'm still bloated.
They know that because they can feel it. But underhydration, you can't feel it. You just don't realize that 80% of our body weight is water. When you look at a cell, it's a lot of stuff in there, mitochondria. It's mostly cellular water. So water is important, but gut health is paramount, because that's where things absorb and get into our body, into our blood.
So I didn't really get anywhere that I wanted to go because we keep moving in a direction that is so fascinating. Can I get you guys to come back and we keep doing this?
Absolutely.
I swear to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Mike. Thank you, Dr. Vic. We are going to keep doing this because I think we're going to be teaching a lot of people out there what we didn't know about something we need to know. Thank you. If you like the show, check out the episode page on makeitright.ca for more tips. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Amazon Music. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode.